What is so attractive to the audio community about the AV industry?
Well, I suppose it's in the name, really, isn't it? I mean, AV, audio visual. I mean, what we've seen, though, and what creates, I think, an opportunity for audio companies is the fact that I think video has taken the prime spot. It's been the main consideration for many people for a long time. And what that's resulted in is a lot of good enough audio being deployed into, particularly into companies. Great looking displays, great looking spaces, but not acoustically treated, without the appropriate microphone and processing technology, and that's leading to suboptimal experiences for the end users, and also for the IT departments who are trying to actually administer and operate these facilities for their companies.
How does IT react to audio? I mean, in the old days, we had MPLS networks where you had sound, vision, what everything was transmitted in real time. Is all equal bandwidth and all operated, but it's jolly expensive to put out. I mean, the last time I sort of came into contact with the IT fraternity was really in the early days of that, and I sort of missed a big gap since then. Does IT relate to the importance of audio?
I'm not necessarily directly, but indirectly. And what we're trying to do, we've got a number of programs where we're actually trying to, shall we say, learn and speak the IT language rather than the AV language to the IT decision makers. They have a whole bunch of concerns about the efficiency and bandwidth on their networks. They're concerned about security. They're concerned about the administration and support of devices throughout their corporate, campus or even globally. So what we're trying to do is actually sort of, should we say, demystify audio and AV and actually talk in terms and issues that they're familiar with. I think the other thing that's happening for them is that because there is this, should we say, dissatisfaction or issues which are being created through, should we say, deployment of first generation solutions, they're also looking for actually how can they help solve these problems. So we're trying to move in that direction. We're actually trying to make our products and solutions more IT friendly, get into support models and service models which support IT centric workflows and purchasing behaviours.
How big a handicap is the networking issue? I mean, when you think about IT, you automatically think about networking and interoperability and quality of the medium itself on quite a complex environment.
Yeah, well, they want to reduce cable runs, and I think there was the initial attitude of, we don't want all this strange audio stuff on our network. We don't really understand it. We think it's slightly different, and that's why we sort of ended up with almost like these parallel AV and IT systems. I think now that the industry's moved forward with the wider availability of AV over IP, and the fact that AV devices are becoming much more, shall we say, in IoT type addressable devices, then some of this mystery and fear is evaporating. And the industry's been talking about the convergence of AV and IT for many years, but I think it's gone from, shall we say, just being lots of noise and chat to actually really happening now.
Yes, there seems to be a lot. We look at AV over IP and the SDVOE. You see sort of chip development and lots of manufacturers. That may operate quite well with audio and various other things with Dante and so on, but it doesn't work with video, and that seems to be a bit of a stumbling block for most people. So that there is interoperability in a sense, but not in a technical sense that IT is familiar with. And I think that will always be, it seems to be a bit of a stumbling block.
Yeah, I mean, this is partly the move we've recently made by taking our IntelliMix audio processing software and actually turning this into an application which will run on Windows 10 devices. So effectively, it turns the in-room PC or whatever into an AV device as well as being an IT device. I mean, it's kind of like the evidence for convergence. But for us also, that means it's actually changing how we actually bring our products to market, how we support them, how do we actually deal with IT departments contacting for support as opposed to AV departments. Completely different set of language, completely different set of issues and concerns which need to be help-free.
See, this is the thing, isn't it? When we thought about integration projects and everything else, where would the audio industry go? Would it go at the chip level, or would it go at the software level? And I sense a potentially combination of the two, but I'm not too sure. I'm seeing ASICs appearing that will be integrated in various things, and I can see that happening with the SDVOE lot. They just produced their first chip, haven't they? They've got an electronics chip in there. And I thought, well, that would be one way through the hardware side, but how many other audio manufacturers are going to be thinking, well, software is the way to go, it's easier, cheaper, more flexible, potentially?
Yeah, well,
works better on a network. I don't
well,
know.
one of the ways the customers expressed it to us is, they clearly they need to have the transducers. There's got to be microphones and speakers. That's a kind of given. There's got to be the physical way that you can sort of turn sound waves into electronic signals and vice versa. But they're saying that in between that, they want everything to be software. And they want to really just have commodity devices or common control devices and so on, which are running all the necessary applications for the AV conferencing to be taking place. So in our case, obviously, we're an audio business, and we want to make sure that we can develop and provide software which is going to optimize that audio experience. But I think you'll certainly see, in future there'll be it'll be there'll always be Shure devices at one end, but then behind that it's going to be software all the way through to the output.
I mean, does that make the brand somewhat invisible in that case? You're at more of the infrastructure level than you are actually at the front end level. You thought, well, somebody who's a bit like Intel inside. You're probably either Shure or a JSB or whatever it may be.
Yes.
So, that must be jolly good audio then.
But I think that is kind of a trend, is that people kind of want the invisibility, and yes, and we do have to sort of step into the background. So Shure is a brand for those people in the know, and clearly we're going to be promoting and pushing the capabilities of our devices and software as strongly as possible. But for the typical end user in a conference room, yes, it probably would be entirely invisible to them. It's kind of magic that happens behind the scenes. But it's the same with our devices. It's like the ceiling arrays. I mean, how many people go into a room and really look up and study the logo? Not very many. But what they do comment about is how good is the experience. And if they're not happy with that experience, then they're going to go and start beating up their IT department. And the IT department are the ones who will know our brand and know whether we are supporting them and not being the cause of problems to them, but actually the people are actually helping them.
I suppose quality of service is going to be key here. It depends who's setting it up, whether it's in the product itself or it's in the setup of when it gets installed. Are you going to be able to follow the quality and maintain that quality all the way through, or is there going to be some sacrifice at the local end in the way it's set up? Because that's always a potential danger with this stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, directionally, what we want to do is to try to make everything as easy as possible to set up and deploy. So more templates, more automated workflows. Even getting to the point of just like the magic one-touch button to set it all up and optimize. But we think there's always going to be a role for people actually who are going to need to get underneath the hood, so to speak, to use the American expression, underneath the bonnet for our British listeners, and actually want to tweak and manage and really have all the AV utilities that they're used to. So yes, you could argue that we're trying to sort of ride both horses in that sense, which is simple enough for those that need it to be simple, but also for those that actually do want to or need professionally to get into the details. Then it'll all be there as well. But yes, so one end to demystify things, but on the other end provide all of the nuances and capabilities. But yeah, getting it, but again, going back to your point, when it's when audio effectively is an IT application, then the ability to have remote monitoring, remote quality of service, to actually to see what's going on in the rooms and actually test and monitor remotely if things are working effectively. Absolutely, there's nothing to stop it once you get to that point.
And it becomes a shoe-in for global support, of course, for bigger clients who want to standardise and have a proper infrastructure.
Yes.
They know they can rely on, and it's starting and replicated right across wherever they're going.
Yeah, this is exactly what they're asking for, because I mean we're working with a lot of big global Fortune 500 companies, and they effectively want follow the sun support. They will also want to have exactly the same user experience, whether it's in Shanghai or Hyderabad or London or New York. So having actually that consistency of what can be deployed, and then also getting the right analytics on it so that they can prove to their financial departments that they're delivering audio most effectively, most optimally, or the whole AV experience. But that kind of consistency in terms of design and user experience is definitely a huge demand that's coming.
Which leads on to the logical follow-on question to that, is where the audio industry comes in when it comes to delivering services within the AV industry. I mean, what do you think it's going to be best at, and how is it going to be delivered?
Yes, well, there's two sides to this. We still very much see that the front end services and the customer relationship is owned by our systems integrators and consultants and channel partners, and what they need is for us to be behind them. So providing the right training, the right methodologies, making sure that they can go in and provide that, should we say, those professional deployment services. But also, having APIs so people can customize around those APIs, having the, as I mentioned, not just the training consulting services, but also some strategic consultancy as well. I think there's definitely a trend there where it creates a new opportunity for audio manufacturers, but doing it in a way which where we don't cause conflict or impair the business models of our partners, our channel partners, because for them it's their bread and butter. So we want to help them provide the services, and then that will bring us through.